Hello everybody, and welcome to the Historical Sew-Along series, where we'll take you through the ins and outs of some simple historical sewing projects to build up your wardrobe and your hand skills. Maybe even both at the same time. From prep work to finished product, we'll do it together, following step-by-step instructions with some tips and tricks sprinkled in along the way. This series is meant for all skill levels, but it is especially nice for beginners to build confidence while building a solid toolkit of techniques. So feel free to pause, rewind, rewatch, and fast forward to whichever parts you need as many times as necessary. So, with all of that said, let's get to the good stuff. Today's video is part 3 of our 3-part petticoat series, so if you missed parts 1 and 2, check the links in the description below to get caught up. Otherwise, grab your supplies and let's get ready to finish this petticoat. So far, we have a seamed, hemmed petticoat, but you're probably thinking, this thing looks more like a tube than a petticoat. And you'd be right, because we have yet to pleat and attach the waist tape. So first things first, measure out a waist tape. If you've already completed our pocket sew-along, you'll be familiar with the method we're going to use, but if you haven't, it's a really easy way to figure out waist tape lengths without any math. Not that math isn't important, but let's be honest, most of us are sewing this at 3 a.m. the night before an event when math is definitely not our friend. Am I right? I feel like I'm right. I don't want to be right. I'm probably right. Anyways, to use this method, take a long piece of string and tie it around your waist. Mark or cut the ends of the ties so that they are even and not too long. Untie the string and use the length you just marked to measure out your tape. Again, this method can be used for just about anything that has waist ties. If you need a numerical measure for ordering purposes, just hold your string up to a tape measure and record how long it is. At this point, let's go ahead and mark the center of the tape, then hold it up taut to your waist to determine the sides. You want your sides to be just over half of your waist measurement if you overlap your petticoats, or just about half or just under half of your waist measurement if you don't. Next, we'll go ahead and take the side mark, fold it into the center mark to find the quarter points of our waist tape, and mark here as well. Now that we've marked our waist tape, we also need to mark the top of our petticoat to prepare for pleating. To do this, we're going to fold the front panel in half and then in quarters and mark the folds with pins or basting stitches. Do this for the back panel as well. Next, we'll take our waist tape and match the pins or basting marks on our waist tape to those on our petticoat. In the center front of the petticoat, we're going to start with a box pleat, leaving a small portion unpleated to keep this part flat under your gowns. From the box pleat, take up a series of knife pleats facing away from the center, radiating towards the pocket hole on each side. As Angela mentioned in our live, each pleat does not need to be the exact same depth, so as long as there is a fairly even appearance and a consistency from the outside of the petticoat, you are doing just fine. And since we've pinned the waist tape to the petticoat, marking our quarters, we don't really have to worry about measuring the waist numerically for the finished circumference because the physical distance is already demarcated on the tape itself. So this whole pleating process can be done by eye if you are embracing the 18th century method. As you're pleating, we recommend securing your pleats in place. You can do this initially with pins, and if you are a fan of basting, you can do a zigzag baste to replace your pins before you sew. I highly recommend this, but I absolutely know that some of you are probably too impatient to do it, and you will just try to sew around the pins anyways, and that's okay, but I do want you to know it is my personal mission to convert you all to the school of basting. Eventually. And then some of you are going to warm my heart because you're going to want to go a step further and whip the top edges of the pleats to keep them extra secure. This is completely up to you, so do whatever helps you keep things under control. As long as it's basting. For the back panel, we're going to do essentially the same thing that we did for the front, but we're going to start with an inverted box pleat, making the pleats touch in the center back. The rest of the pleats will face towards the center back and away from the pocket holes. Once you've secured your pleats, however you've decided to do that, we are now ready to attach the waist tape. And there are two methods that we usually employ to do this. The first will be exactly the same thing that we did with our pockets, so folding the tape to encase the raw edge along the top of the petticoat, hemming first the front of the tape to the petticoat, then turning the tape and hemming the back to the petticoat. The second method does seem to work best with lighter weight fabrics, and we've seen it used on some lightweight taffeta petticoats of the 18th century. In this method, we will lay a tape along the top edge of the petticoat on the outside on top of the pleats, so this is on the right side of your fabric, and then pin or loosely baste the tape to the petticoat to secure it. And then we're going to hem the bottom edge of the tape to the petticoat, so the edge furthest away from the top of the petticoat. Next, we're going to go ahead and turn the tape under so that the edge you just stitched is now the new top edge of the petticoat. And then we will hem the bottom edge of the tape to the petticoat through the pleats, so you're picking up a little bit on the outside. Now this means you will see tiny hem stitches as the bottom row of stitching on the outside, but you should not see the tape from the outside of the petticoat. As with your pocket ties, fold and hem the edges of your waist ties so that they won't fray over time. And with that, you should have in your happy little hands a beautiful brand new, completely hand-sewn 18th century petticoat. Yay! There are two schools of thought when it comes to tying your petticoat ties around the waist. The first is to allow for some overlap by tying the back tapes around to the front and the front tapes around to the back. This gives a lot of adjustability while keeping the pocket hole fairly discreet and somewhat hidden in the petticoat. The second school of thought suggests tying the back tapes to the front tapes at the side. Sometimes this leaves a little bit of gaping in the petticoat and won't help make the petticoat smaller, but can potentially make the petticoat larger. This is completely up to you. Your treatment is your choice. Make the decision that you think will work for you. And now we're ready to put that puppy on. Oh, wait, or put it on a puppy. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Aggie, come here. Right. So, I mean, did you guys expect anything less at this point in this series? But friends, thank you so much for joining us. And for more Sew Along shenanigans, stay tuned for our next series wherein we will attempt an apron. But until we meet again, as always, may your stitches be even and your needles be fierce.